It's perfect.
Yeah.
Got the Bengals going again. We got our withdrawals coming. Watching Good Morning Football show, and you said it's the first time you've been able to watch it since the season ended.
It's facts.
It's
Facts. It's finally like the greatest season that I can remember has ended. Not with the win, and I've been so heartbroken over the last month that I just wanted the new year to get here, and the new year starts today. So yeah, I'm really excited. That's why I've done my 180. I've got my extend, re-sign Jesse Bates jersey.
12 steps rehabilitation.
Yes. Get him back. Get him back. Hey, everybody. Welcome. March 14th. Special edition. Manic Monday show. So, episode 5 of our second season. I'm Tom. This is Q. We're here. We're here to rock it today. We've got a lot to talk about. It feels like forever. We were talking before the show. It feels like forever since we've actually talked about sports.
Yeah, and it's what, a week?
Yeah, it's like when the Bengals season was going on, and even in the summer, like when the Reds were playing, we get really sports heavy. We're dudes. We talk sports. We coach sports. We've tried several times to switch it up and talk about different things to kind of match, whether it's the audience or get a new audience or just kind of entertain, right? And here we are today. We've got we talked about this last week. Usually I'm a huge Bearcat basketball fan, right?
Yep.
And I have a hard time, without a rooting interest, like hanging on to other games.
Yeah, when your dog's not in the fight, it's like interesting.
Like it's background noise to some point, but if I don't have, fantasy football, you kind of have that where it's like I can watch other games because maybe
youth sports, make your money.
Yep.
And that's it. That's our rooting interest is just to make a little bit of money for your local teams, travel expenses, whatever it is, bragging rights, win $1 million or $1 billion if you have a perfect bracket. All of those fun things that are out there, but local teams just.
Yeah.
The Buckeyes and Kentucky.
Well, the Bengals season, we talked about this before, it lasted longer than it ever had. And so there wasn't a whole lot of focus on some of the local basketball teams because we pride ourselves within a 2-hour radius of having really great college basketball.
Yeah.
And it's still there, but in terms of being front of mind, really it was up until the last 2 weeks, and being a Bearcat fan, they weren't very good.
Right.
So it was hard to watch, and then knowing they weren't going to make the tournament, and then you had the selection show last night, which usually I saw a lot of things like this on Twitter this week was, and I remember doing this, is going and getting a blank piece of paper and filling out, basically creating my own bracket, even though it was always right there in front of you. You could always print it out, but you wanted to create your own, right? So we're going to talk about that stuff today. I had an interesting, it's more than interesting. It was a mind-blowing moment for me personally, and I haven't said anything to you about it yet.
This is news to me. I'm excited.
One of those things that it was a comment and a conversation I had with a friend that totally out of the blue.
Alexa, play Nas, If I Ruled the World.
So Carson's playing varsity for Coleraine, and they had their meet the team. Okay, and so we're at meet the team, and one of the parents from a kid that was on his team last year, and he's on his team again this year. We kind of struck up a pretty decent relationship. Baseball last year was really the first time that him and I had ever met each other. Found out we had 2 teams in the summer that were playing against each other, and just overall good dude, fun to comfortable, just like us, sitting there just talking. And he went through some tough times and was battling cancer, over the last year. And he said to me, "Man, I love your show." And I said, wow. I said, "That's really cool, Chris." His name's Chris Jones.
Okay.
Okay. And this is what he said to me, and I'll tell you the history. So, Chris, if you're listening, I asked first if I could say this. He said, your show, he said, I would download it. Your show helped me get through chemo. And I was just, because we're just a couple of knuckleheads just hanging out talking about stuff. And regardless if we have one listener or 100 million listeners, that one story, that one comment to me was like, okay, whatever, like it made everything that we're doing and that we do here like worth it.
Yeah.
Right? And it was so special. So thank you for that comment, Chris. Keep fighting, man. You're looking good. Can't wait to see you out there this spring and some in the summer as well. But he also mentioned to me, he goes, is Q, is that Quentin Suggs? And I said, yeah. He goes, I played street hockey with him with the Bucherts. And I said, man, and I made the comment, I said, gosh, I've known Quentin, I'm 42. I said, I've probably known Quentin for 30 years. I known Quentin the wrestler, Quentin the football player, the softball player.
The dunker, the high
flyer.
Yeah,
Street hockey to me was new. But when he said with the Bucherts, I was like, yep. I said, I didn't really know them all that well, but I knew of them, and I knew Quentin was friends with Doug, and Doug and the Bucherts, and so on and so forth. So you had that same connection that I did with them. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's fun. We used to play that cul-de-sac all the time. We'd go up to tennis courts up at Coleraine Park sometimes, and we played a lot, man. Bill Yinger, our local legend, Ryan Weber, played quite a bit. It was just unfair. He would toy around with us because he was so freaking good, man. He never really took it too serious. But Matt Lowen and I, man, I was just talking probably about 2 months ago about that time in life where we just got out and just played. We had regulation size goals, and then because Joe was just like an engineer guru, some of the things that he's done, and then he got just some huge sheets of particle board, man, and just cut like a silhouette of a goal out. So we carried these giant heavy wood goalies and set them
Isn't
down.
It funny what we did as kids to create games?
Joe Buchert was all in on everything he did, man. He was, so we'd have the whole street blocked off, had the giant wooden goalies. He got the dimensions so they'd fit perfect, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hole, and that's the only place you could score. So everybody could get out and skate around the cul-de-sac. He had a nicely new paved. So
kids, that's what old school is about, right there.
And then when we were done playing hockey, we'd have laser tag through his whole cul-de-sac, and they were like headbands. And Joe went in, he just took apart the gun and got in and had the noise on the switch, so he could turn it on or off, whatever. And so he's the only one out there with a silent gun. We're all like, as soon as we shoot, like, it's like, here it's coming. So you're getting shot from every angle, and Joe's flipping his switch off, and like, you're getting shot. You don't know where the shots are coming from. And he was all in on, man. Those were Chris, man. I don't know. It's kind of gave me the chills, man.
Yeah, that's how I felt the other night.
It's just, I don't know.
It was like I told you, and that's why I kind of say, because there's a lot of stuff that you and I, like, we put down this list of stuff that we're going to talk about, stuff that's going on local, going on in the world, whatever. And there's a lot of times that, like, before the show, like, we don't tell these stories because we don't want anything to come off as scripted or, like, have time to really think about what it is, because I think humanity, when you get that natural reaction to things, a lot of times you tell, that's how you tell more about the sincerity and the genuineness of a person, of a situation.
I could not agree more. I was just talking about an apology speech that someone had to do, and you could see they're reading it, and like, man, and then our president he addressed the country, and you can see his eyes just going and just reading, and it's just like, for me, echoing everything you just said, man, it takes so much away from authenticity.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I feel in my heart. Here's a bullet point, and then I don't need a mic, I don't need a telephone, I don't need anything, because this is coming from me, and I think you can see that. I think you can tell that.
It's, we were talking about engineering kids engineering, that ingenuity.
Yeah.
Like, nowadays, you get to a point, it's like, whether it's video games or whatever, I'm bored. It's like, when we were bored, that's when we came up with stuff. Like, all right, like,
Yes.
let's figure this out. Let's put the hockey goals together, right? Like, there was nothing more frustrating than playing laser tag outside and a laser wouldn't reach because, it's like,
Yeah.
well, this is stupid. And then you just mouth it like, boom, 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 you're dead. Like, got you. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. No, you didn't.
And
You
that was
missed me.
our
You shot me in the leg.
No, your headband's going off. I got you. There's no disputing that. But that was a typical day at the Buickridge, man. We'd like, because he had a soccer goal in his backyard.
Yeah.
He was a great soccer player. We're back there just taking shots, playing hockey, playing laser tag, in his driveway, shooting hoops with skates on. Like, oh, let's do this for a little bit. Like, and that was just like a day. It just compounded next thing. And, I tell 3 daughters, like, boys are just dumb. Like, we beat the crap out of ourselves, and it's just, skating around a driveway with a basketball, like, thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing basketball with skates.
Yeah, we are.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah. Sounds like a good idea.
Ow!
That's what I remember. We had one of those, like, Fisher-Price basketball hoops, and I took it outside, and my parents' patio was straight black ice.
Oh.
And I'm just out there, like, I'm skating on purpose, like, shot, dunk. It's like trying not to fall. Like, it's like I had nothing to do. I was just like, it's cold. There's ice. I like ice. Let's skate around on it. You know what would be good here? A basketball hoop. Bring it out. Let's do it. Come up with all kinds of games. Anything just to occupy your time. And
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week, like in the basements, unfinished basements, man. The things that we would beat the snot out of each other. I was talking to one of the dads from Audra's swim team, and he was like a water drip, Chinese water torture. Like him and his friends, they would beat each other, and they would just hold each other down and just like poke on their head with their finger. And I'm like, man, my brother and all of his friends, I'm 7 years younger than my brother, 7.5, whatever. And all of his friends would come over, and they would just, they would wear me out a lot of times. And it's like, so they would give me a cherry belly, and he was like, what's a cherry belly? I was like, yes. He said, man, they would hold me down. I would have two, like, extending my hands, two going my feet. My brother would just pull my shirt up and just, like, and it wasn't, like, generous.
No. There was a reason it's called cherry red.
I was like, with that being done, back in the day, dude, I was shredded my abs, man. I had a nice little six-pack. Like, I pulled my shirt up all the time because my stomach was ripped because, when you're sitting there, because you couldn't unflex because it hurt so bad. And they would just and they'd get harder and harder, and it felt like cutting after a second. But, thanks to my brother and his friends bullying the crap out of me, I was nice, defined.
So our podcast, has, obviously one very important download, right?
Yeah, Chris, thank you.
So let's take a look.
For the kind words, man. That means a lot.
To see where we're at this week.
Number 6.
I feel like we need lead-in music for the podcast stats, like something like doo-doo-doo-doo. like a little game show music. All right, so Ukraine has picked up a couple. They're up to 14. Last week's show being on Tuesday. Today, obviously Monday. 10 downloads. So
nice.
Yeah,
that seems consistent early in the week.
That's that dynamic of the timing, right? So yeah, we had a couple throughout the weekend. Let's take a look and see where we're at. Again, we talked about percentages, right, last week. I'm still fascinated by.
So I got 1991 rock songs. Michael Bolton, is that rock?
Are you at a dentist office?
We're in Kroger right now.
So 50% on Facebook, 20% Spotify. Okay.
Alexa, play "Love Is a Wonderful Thing," Michael Bolton. Let's go with it, man.
Why not? You say it, we play it. All right, so here we go.
It's a Wonderful Thing by Michael Bolton on Amazon Music.
90% of our downloads, which equals 9, are in the United States. 1 is our good friend and yours, Hans. So Hans, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're safe. Thank you again for tuning in. We've reached Brooklyn, New York.
And Hans, if you're confused on who you are, we've only got one
Good
downloader from Frankfurt. So if you're in Frankfurt and you're downloading this show, you're the only one. So to build the courage and confidence of, hey, it might not be me, it is you. So reach out to the show in some form or fashion, and let's catch up, man. Let's talk.
Yeah.
And we are aware your name's not Han, but we don't know it, so we're trying to go with something.
We have nicknamed you the one and the only Hans from Frankfurt. Hans of Hesse from Frankfurt.
Ooh, I love it.
As I add in my
Hans, son of Hans.
From Frankfurt. So hopefully the village of Frankfurt is doing well. We get a couple of listeners throughout the tri-state area, but here's a couple new ones. Brooklyn, New York. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for downloading. I'm sure, is that Jay-Z? Is he in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
He's probably like
Beyonce.
checking, did these guys play any of my songs? We might have. We're sorry. We don't own the rights to the music. Is that what you're supposed to say, right? Edison, New Jersey. So 10 downloads this week. Thank you to all. Kind of keeping that number. That's kind of our benchmark, right? Is kind of getting that double digits.
I like the double digits, man.
You know,
when we're at 9, it's like, man. We're at 10, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, when you get only a handful, it's kind of like, 10 makes you feel a little something.
So the Tuesday show seems a little less viewers on the Facebook, but we're getting more downloads.
Yeah.
So, maybe people are actually working early in the week and they can't stop and listen. And then as the week goes on, they're able to download and check it out. So.
Yeah, I think it makes total sense. I think it fits in there.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, right?
So thank you all, podcasters, Tom and Q Show podcasters. We appreciate it. The last few weeks, we've kind of had some highlights, some lowlights, some takes on world type stuff. Being the biggest being Russia and Ukraine. We were talking a little bit about the show this week. Haven't been as heavily into it. Your comment before the show is like, yeah, it's still going on, right? And yeah, it's still going on. I did fill up. I filled up my tank this week. Saw the hit that it took.
You got a little bigger tank, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to, and I'm a process guy. So we've had this conversation before. I'm also kind of trying to, like, an experiment type thing too. It's like, I know filling your tank is better for the vehicle, right? You're supposed to be more efficient on a full tank of gas as opposed to when it's not.
Right.
So would I save money over time over time, whether it's efficiency, whatever, by filling up my tank when it's half full, because I'm a tank half full guy, not a tank half empty guy.
Good.
Right?
That's good cliche.
So instead of spending $100 to fill my tank up, it's $50.
A little easier pill to swallow.
Maybe I don't fill it up as much, right? Maybe my psyche is like, $50 for gas a week.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Believe whatever you need to believe.
Do I start a spreadsheet? Do I go that anal on it? Like, here's the trend line,
right,
with the gas tank. So gas prices are going up. Inflation, which is basically too much money out there, right? And prices of everything are going up. We've been seeing it for a while.
What we need to do soon, with inflation going up, is we need to get back out on the road and buy some people some lunches, man. Because that's the first thing that popped in my head. Because through life, and one of the things I took away from all the lunches last year is everyone has a very similar story with early 20s and just struggling times, having kids, making ends meet. Looking at the bank accounts and nervous on what bill you're going to pay. And, a lot of people have gone through very trying times financially. And with inflation, just getting milk, just things just to get your daily bread, to get your family by. And I know that's a real thing right now in the country. Just getting to and from work when you're looking in it, and it costs $70 to fill up your tank to go to work. And drop your kids off at the center, and it's just everything. It's trying for the people of this country, just to make ends meet. And when things are getting more and more and more expensive, it's just hard, man. And not to turn it to a sour note, but it's the reality of inflation. Is the pay scale doesn't keep up. It can't keep up right now. It's just
Right.
out of control. And if they even attempted to keep up and pay more to offset the inflation, then inflation is just going to increase even more, because the businesses need money.
Right.
They need to work off the margins. And so, yeah, that was a whole lot. But let's plan soon to get back out and buy some lunches.
Yeah,
do
before
some
it gets
things.
too high.
Before we can't afford to buy lunches anymore.
But we got to keep that secret, because we don't need the 10 people out chasing us around. Just getting.
How many chicken tenders can you eat?
I've been on this diet. Well, it's called a diet. Guys like me, we don't call it diets. We call it a life change.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I'm on this life change.
Yeah.
Right. Not really. I was doing really good, and I still am doing good. It's frustrating. Like, we're not going out to eat as much during the week. And with the schedules, that's hard, man, because you got to plan and you got to do certain things. And so, like, I hit a plateau at this point where it's just like, crap. There's not like, what else am I gonna do? How boring can I make my tastes in food at this point to make that to break through that barrier?
Right.
It's just not. It's not happening. So like, if we go out and do these lunches, last year, kind of reset. We took a day. We drove around for about 2 hours, and we turned it into basically a chicken tender contest, where we got chicken tenders, fried chicken tenders from every single place. I will not do the Beyond Burger or Beyond Nuggets or Beyond Chicken, whatever that is. I won't do it. So there's got to be, if we do it, we've got to find something, because I can't eat 400 chicken tenders again.
Blake was pumped when we got on.
Yeah,
man.
and he had a whole bunch.
He was pumped, man.
Because remember, it got to the point where it was like, I'm just going to try one. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you...
It's like Lay's, man. Can't eat just one.
I love potato chips, and I haven't had a potato chip since Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's killer. I love potato chips. I've had fries. Kind of all about the same, right? So anyway, I agree. Inflation is here. What are they going to do to break through that barrier? You have the gas stuff, and we talked about it last week, and it's like, again, this is my layperson's opinion. We have to become, and I've heard this across the board.
Alexa, play Breathe by Prodigy. Nice little jam. Blood flowing.
We have to find a way as a country to become energy independent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And if we can do that, that will lessen the burden at the pump. On the flip side, not flip side, but on the same side, it'll create more jobs, which puts more money in Americans' pockets for them to go out and buy stuff. So manufacturing comes up. People are getting more money. There's more jobs. To me, that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like, this particular administration ran on climate change versus fossil fuel, green energy versus oil and coal. And man, this week it just felt like it was getting even stronger. But there is a lot of pressure on both sides of the aisle to do something. Find more oil, drill for more oil, whatever it takes to do it. And this presidency has fought back on that, saying, no, it's not our fault. We believe in, at what point, though, does that, like climate change, whatever you want to believe about climate change, right now, it's going to be 60 degrees today. I'm all for climate change. Give me more. It's gonna be 70 tomorrow.
Yes.
Give me more. Like, who's complaining about that?
Right.
You know, I understand the reasons that, you know, the stigmatism, whatever you want to call it, that climate change has, but my everyday life, I appreciate a little climate change every now.
I appreciate thawing out. Yes, I appreciate being a little warm.
You know, and then you have, you know, so they're so stuck.
Yeah, we're probably with the rest of, I don't know, 90% of this country. Who cares whose fault it is? Fix it. Mm-hmm. Just fix it. Figure something out to just fix.
That's the problem with politics.
What we're going through right now as a nation, and it's, you know, when you want to attack the 1%, sure, whatever, attack them, blame them for everything. Go after the 1%, tax them more. But the whole time you're investing energy and resources into attacking them, there's somebody starving that you're not even thinking about.
Right.
You know, and it's you know, it's a classic, you know, coaching a team or running a business. You got your elite performers, and there's the mentality of like, hey, I need to get my lesser player or my lesser employee up to par, so the elites and the betters don't get better.
Yeah.
And then you got some people that just say, hey, I'm going to put my energy into my better people because that's going to carry the team, and your weaker people get weaker. So to find that balance of allowing your better people to get better and putting energy into the lesser, you know, whatever that infrastructure is that, you know, I'm always a fan of in-house fixing. So you're an elite player. You help my lesser players. Not only do you become better, but you also you get a coaching mind, and you kind of say some things out loud, and you refine yourself as a person. And me as a coach, I step back because I allow the system to work itself out. And I think we just are so consumed with hatred in the world right now that we just point that finger. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. And this guy's starving.
Do you
We've
think,
gotta fix that?
you know, you kind of hit a nerve when it's like, hey, the country's divided, you know, talking about hatred. And we've talked a lot about propaganda.
Yeah.
How much of that hatred do you think is politically driven, media driven propaganda? Because let's be honest, it doesn't matter what your background is, what your race is, what your ethnicity is. Everybody right now is facing these price hikes.
Yeah.
Like it's affecting everybody.
Yeah.
So you are uniting the country on people being angry. It's going to become its own group of people in general. You know, there was a meme out there that I heard this week of, you know, they have this Build Back Better plan. What happened to, how about this meme? Leave it the way you found it.
Yeah.
When gas was affordable, people were working. Like, man, I could go down this conspiracy theory deal that the more you read about all this stuff, and Nicole and I were talking about it last night, like, it's so hard to know what to believe and what not to believe.
Yeah. Jessica and I, we went to lunch when we were down in Georgia. Actually, breakfast, I'm sorry. And we went into this place, and it was Mama's Boy, and it was a really cool setting. So we went in, they took our name, 15, 20-minute wait. So we go sit out in the parking lot. We're kind of hanging out, a little chilly, so we sit in the car. The phone text, just like any other restaurant, nothing different so far. Then when we come back in, you go to the register and order. And then you go sit down, because they got a table open for you. And I'm like, that's a little different. And Jessica, with her restaurant background, she was like, you know how much time this frees up? Because, you know, normal place we go, we sit down at the table, server walks over, they take the order, and then they go back, and then the process. She was like, it's probably taking 15, 20 minutes off of every single table. The fact that we come in, order, sit down, then somebody brings us the food because they have the infrastructure all there. And then with that mindset, Jessica kind of planted that seed of the flow, and I'm like, man, this is different because they were turning tables quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like that system. It's different. I've never seen it anywhere. But I'm watching, and the way the servers come out, everybody was piggy. I was like, you know what, Jessica? This is a perfect socialist society. She was like, are you a socialist? I said, absolutely not. Not even close. But within scale, this is utopia.
Yeah.
Because the system they have set up here, you know, problem is once you get just a little bit bigger. I'm sure Mama's Boy restaurant has a store that is not so smoothly ran. That was probably one of their better ran stores,
Right.
with just great staff, great management, great leadership, great direction. I'm sure they have stores out there to where you got a selfish individual that doesn't pull their weight and the behind the scenes background. And so that's what happens once you're at 350 million people.
Right.
So we're dealing with, I don't know, 20. You can do that. You can be socialist in a house. You can be socialist in a small business, an individual. And then once you get bigger than that, it's the human heart kicks in, and greed kicks in, and selfishness kicks in, and your own agenda kicks in, and then propaganda kicks in, and then you double down on your pride, and you triple down and quadruple down. And I think that's what we're going through as a nation, is just they're just doubling down on their because all the Democrats want to win, the Republicans want to win. There's nothing else. I want to win. I want my party in office. I want to win at all costs. Well, that costs this country.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
I want to win, and that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and you're dealing.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is, and you're dealing with. You have to. We talked about this too. You have to be able to adapt.
So much. Yeah, we talked about it last week. We're going all in on politics.
Yeah. So you have to be able to adapt. If something's not working, it's like football.
Make a halftime adjustment.
That's it. And I don't think anybody. Well, I'm sure somebody would be like, I told you so, right? I mean, that's the nature of the world. But, there's not a whole lot of new stuff on Ukraine and Russia, but it is having, a direct effect here, as well as some of the policies or lack thereof policies when it comes to energy.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about in a while the supply chain and everything else that's going on around that. So hopefully the powers at B can figure out a way to make those halftime adjustments, right?
Yes.
Whether it's
put your pride aside.
Yeah, and say what you want about climate change. Here we are, March 14th. We just had spring forward. Spring forward.
I had no clue. None. I woke up Sunday morning, looking at my clock, chilling, relaxing. I didn't touch my phone, just kind of chilling. And then I grabbed my phone. I was like, wait a second. It's supposed to be a church at 9.
Yeah.
And it's 8:30. And I was like, 9. I was like, wait a second. So I fixed my clock there, and I go downstairs and I look at the stove. I'm like, was last night? And my daughter was like, yeah. And I was like, it completely snuck up on me.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
I feel like they've changed. I feel like they've changed the dates on that recently.
I don't know.
I don't in fall. I feel like it's earlier than what it was in the past, and now I feel like this is coming faster. I was kind of the same way.
Sunday morning, I was
I knew about it, and then we had baseball in the morning. Nicole was working at church, so she usually would leave at 8:30, and we'll talk about this. We had went out Saturday night. We were out pretty late, and so we get home and go to bed, and she basically sneaks out, and I kind of roll over and look at my phone. The phone says 8:50. I'm like, whoa! I haven't slept till 8:50 in years, and I'm like, oh yeah, my phone had changed. It was it's really 7:50. I'm like, if I could sleep till 7:50, I'm like, that's a pretty daggone good day.
Yes.
I'm like, so, and I was like, okay, we have such and such day. We've got baseball, we got soccer. We were helping at Coyne High School, and it was we had basketball, all these different things yesterday that were going on, and it was you finally get home and it's lighter longer now, which is awesome.
Yep.
That's
my favorite.
The weather.
I can get my evening walks in now.
The weather is the next few days is going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. Up in the 60s, in the 70s. So again, the spring forward, yeah, it definitely has an effect. And I'm always curious. Church is a good example of that too. Spring forward. The week before, you look in the pews, But when you go to Spring Forward, you can always tell who forgot. Like, dang it. You weren't there.
Yeah.
You weren't there.
I don't need an alarm clock for that time of the day, man, because I'm always up that time, and it's just...
Or in the fall, like, people show up, like, way too early.
Yeah.
Like, do they put the sign on the thing, like, we'll start in an hour, right?
Completely off topic, but Beastie Boys is one of my favorite groups of all time, and I got 1986 hip-hop. Number 1, Paul Revere, Beastie Boys. Number 2, Run DMC, Peter Piper. Number 3, Go See the Doctor from Kool Moe Dee. Number 4, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, Beastie Boys. Number 5, Hold It Now, Beastie Boys.
Wow.
3 of the top 5, and we got number 5. So, Alexa, play Beastie Boys, Hold It Now.
So,
Hold it now. Hear it. Try Beastie
Spring
Boys
Forward
on Amazon Music.
took place. The weather's changing. You know, seasons, our busy season's coming, right?
Yeah.
And so, my schedule basically runs from yesterday pretty much until Thanksgiving,
Yep.
and then it kind of starts over a little bit, right? So I really get like get like almost just one day or one weekend a year. It's between basketball and baseball. So like the last few years, that first weekend of March, that was the time her and I would go on a trip, or if we were going to go that's always kind of the time to go.
Yeah.
And so we did. We went to Columbus. Well, this past Saturday, Friday night, we had flag football. Sunday, we had all the stuff I mentioned before. This Saturday, we had absolutely nothing.
Wow.
I know, nothing. And we're sitting around, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a breakfast. So I made a big breakfast with bacon and eggs and hash browns and pancakes. And it's like, you wonder why I'm plateauing, right? But kids are enjoying it. It's like, okay, what are we...
Great job on this diet until I've got nothing to do.
What
How
do
do you do nothing?
I said to her, usually when we have days like this, it's like, oh, what do you want to do today? I don't know. You want to go look at a boat? Or do you want to go look at, like... It's how I bought my camper.
Yeah.
All 3 of them that I've bought in the past. Pretty much how we bought...
Idle hands is the devil's playground.
Yes.
Man.
It's like... And I looked at her, I said, so usually on days like today, this is usually where we go out and do something stupid and spend money on something that we don't need. I said, so what are we buying today? I said, you want to go buy a boat? No, I don't want to buy a boat. I said,
Sea-Doos?
so,
Something?
I didn't bring up Sea-Doos. So,
Glad I wasn't around.
what about a hot tub? We don't have a hot tub. Shoot. No, I don't want a hot tub. I'm out of ideas. It's like, and we both kind of were like, we don't really need anything. You know, we've been fortunate to where we do have some hobbies and stuff that we do, and so be it. So we're like, oh, what do you think? Remember the story from last week? We were talking about the pedal wagon.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the places that the pedal wagon tour guide told in front of all our kids is Pins Mechanical, right? Which is, it's basically a miniature bowling alley, right? And so it's not much bigger than this bar that we're sitting at, and you use a, croquet size ball, and it's down and over the Rhine. So what do you think about that? And we told them if we didn't have to pedal up the 2 hills to Pins Mechanical, we would take them when we got back home.
Right.
Okay. So we decided, we called a group of friends, see if they were interested. They were, so we had a group. We're going down, we park, get to Pins Mechanical, jammed, packed in there.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it was the first time I'd ever seen it, so it's like they had roughly 20 lanes. They had 3 floors and a basement. So we're like, okay, well, we get to put our name in. It was a 3-hour wait to get a lane, and they don't have food there. So this was about 3:00.
Yeah.
And so
3:00. There's a 3-hour wait.
yeah,
Holy moly.
yeah. So and the top floor was rented for a party already. So it was like, well, okay, we'll wait for everybody to get here, and then we'll kind of decide what we'll do. Well, they have arcade games, like the old school. Remember 16-bit down in Over the Rhine?
Yeah.
So I think I haven't confirmed this, but I think they either bought all of the machines or some of the arcade machines that they had, or they're owned by the same people and just moved it. So on the 3rd floor, they had a bar up there, get a drink, and then free arcades, and pinball was $1, right? So a bunch of arcade games. They had Miss Pac-Man. There was a couple oddball ones that were there, and then you go down to the basement, and then they had the basement games were more normal. They had a huge couch down there set up, and they had a Sega Genesis. And like after going to Columbus, we walked into a bar that had 3 old systems that like kids or whatever could sit in there and play for free while they were waiting for a table.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is cool. Like this reaffirms my idea that I want to open a bar and put in a Nintendo, and Sega, and Super Nintendo, and
Throwback.
yeah.
Oh,
So like, but
TNT?
downstairs, like the arcade games, they had an NFL Blitz, which was the one was like combined wrestling and football, right? It was like circa 96,
Right.
and they had like the Bengals team was like Jeff Blake, Corey Dillon, Darnay Scott, like Carl Pickens. So that was there.
Some good names.
They had Mortal Kombat that was there.
Finish him.
Street Fighter, and then the kicker of all of them, NBA Jam.
He's heating up.
Yeah, and so like we're sitting there. It's like I was playing Blitz with Blake, and then like I'm literally just stalking that NBA Jam machine. Like I'm feeling like I'm at Tilt at Northgate Mall, 1992. Yeah. So we go there. We played a bunch of games. It was fun. It's like, oh, what are we gonna do now? It's like, went to get some dinner. Went to a restaurant. Jam packed again. Dude walks in like this. I kind of forget that it was Saturday before St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So like packed house. It's just a little bar and grill, right?
Right.
Dude walks in with bagpipes and the kilt. He's like playing and then people would clap, and like after about the 3rd time, I'm like, all right, done with the bagpipes.
Right.
Like this guy, everybody stood up and clapped the 3rd time. Can we stop clapping for the dude because he's just gonna continue until. So we get there and we're like, oh, well, what should we do? What should we do now?
He said, guys, do not clap again.
Yeah, do not
clap. Keep doing it.
He's just
Stop encouraging.
you're just
this
encouraging
guy.
it. And
Enablers.
he goes, so it's like, okay, it's about, I don't know, 8 o'clock. We're like, what should we, anybody want to do anything now? Like, who has open bowl? Like, so let's go bowling. I used to bowl in a league. It's, when I injured my finger,
Ooh.
I have not
Tried it again.
I have not tried it since
Right.
since well before that, right? So I'm like all worried about.
Have you thrown a ball?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's
Can do
that?
that fine.
Okay, good.
Well, listen to the rest of the story. And so
I always jump ahead.
and so like we go bowling. Open bowl start at 9:30, and the kids are having a blast. And I had to swing home. Nicole and we bowled before. Like get my own ball. Right, my own shoes.
Awesome.
I'm walking in. I'm like, I've got this shorter finger. How, and I put it in the ball. I'm like, actually, ain't that bad. Like I was worried, like the finger got fatter and it wouldn't fit in.
Now is this story going to occur to like Rookie of the Year, where the kid with
So-
the Cubs had to get surgery and he threw really hard? Now you're like bowling 300s because you got a different grip.
So my goal was like, no, I was like, when I put my fingers in, I was like, nope, everything should work. It should work. This doesn't feel any different than any other time I bowl.
Right.
It's like, so good. I'm feeling pretty good. Bowling to me had always been a thing where it's like, I'll have bad games, but kind of like riding the bike, I'm pretty good at adjusting and doing fairly well. Well, for a normal person.
Right.
Right? And I'm like, told the group, I said, I guarantee you I'm going to get a 200. Like, that's how confident I felt with it in my hand.
Wow.
And so we go there and we bowl the first game. First game didn't go as planned, and about 3/4 of the way through the first game, I rolled the ball and felt something pop in the back of my shoulder. And I wasn't going to quit because I'm no quitter. So I continued to go, but I could put nothing on the ball. Like, it was just, I mean, literally would drop. And I battled back to get a one.
Good catch.
A 170.
Nice.
175, I think, in the second game.
Yeah.
I did run 4 strikes together at one point, so I was happy about that, but it hurt like hell. Like, I mean, like, to a point, like, Nicole's like, why are you making that face every time? I'm like, because I couldn't throw the ball. Like, I was literally, it was everything, there was no power, no nothing behind it. And so, like, I'm like, man, I was all worried that it was going to be my finger, which I got up the next day, and you could see the top of it, like, the blood running to the top of my finger. Like, I mean, it's a little sore, but...
Just got to get it calloused. You'll be all right.
Yeah, but no problem, right? My shoulder, sore in the back. So, like, we had baseball. You asked if I could throw a ball. We had baseball Sunday morning at 11. And I walked in the other coaches, and usually I'm pretty good at batting practice. I said, I hope you guys got a lot of fuel, a lot of gas in your tank. I said, because I figured out how old I was last night. I said, I went bowling, and I've injured my shoulder, and I don't think I can throw batting practice today. And threw a couple balls, it was okay, but I'm like, man, like, what in the world happened?
So I had no clue about this story, and it's so perfect that I posted the picture yesterday from Kobe Bryant, all iced up, proving the kids.
Yes.
Because I'm coaching this year, and so wherever there's an injury, it's usually another part of the body that's causing that injury, right? So my calf's been getting tight because when I pitch, I stand behind the net, and I kind of get in a squatting position, and it's just underhand. So I'm in a squat, and my hamstrings are getting tight, which is pulling tension on my calf. So I'm going over some new dynamic things that I want the girls to warm up with, and it's like really high skips. My left foot, man, my calf muscle, it felt like it ripped. I came down, and I was like himping around, and all the girls were making fun of me, calling me an old man. I just skipped, and I felt like my calf muscle ripped off the bone. It hurt so bad, like I got somebody stabbed me. So that's why it motivated me to post a picture.
It hit him.
Both of us had the 40s punched us in the face.
Yes, right in the kisser. And what's, and I'm gonna take this back a little bit further, and I'm gonna put blame on why you injured yourself and why you injured your calf. And you're never gonna believe me, but it's gonna stick in your head.
I believe you.
It's your Hey Dudes. You've been walking around in those comfortable shoes for so long that you forgot what it was like to be an athlete and wear shoes and do certain things. It's like I tell my kids, stop wearing those lazy shoes when you're going out to public places. If you got to get up and do something, you're only hurting yourself.
That's hilarious.
So
I'm going in, man. You're winning your Hey Dudes argument.
Yeah, it has caused you bodily harm.
Caused my feet to hurt at the airport when I was running late. You can't jog in Hey Dudes.
It is sissified your feet.
Tweety Bird.
Yeah, it has sissified your feet.
Hey Dudes, you're hurting me.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm in. I'm in on that.
Don't wear those. That's, you know what? Maybe
I put those on and my body's like, all right, so we casual in life
yeah.
right now. Yeah. What are you doing? No, we're casual. We're done with this. So
I mean, before you do anything, like, you probably stretch a little bit, right? Like you said, like building up calluses, right?
Yeah.
Putting those Hey Dudes on has removed your feet from those calluses, which has made them soft.
That's that's what it is, man.
Yeah.
But one thing is, like, I'm really involved. Like, I'm a high energy guy, so when I'm coaching, here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I want to see, and I'm really involved. And I'm the older I get, the more inspired I get by the coaches that don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, how does that guy get his people to jump on board? And he's so, like, Tony Dungy's of the world, just even keeled, just like I want to be me, but I do want a little bit of that in me as well, so I can just get them to take ownership. And so I'm trying to refine that piece as a leader and as a coach, is to be more offhands. So when that happened, that's the first thought that came in my mind. I was like, I can't show these girls what I'm looking for now. Like, we just have to figure it out.
Yes.
So because I can't jog, I can't run, I can barely walk right now. And which was funny because I'm walking funny, and then my hamstrings started getting tight, and I'm like, this is just not good.
The overcompensation, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what, like with me, when you're.
So if you're a coach and you're like really, really 100% hands off, let's talk. I need to figure that out. I watch somebody do something, and I'm just like, give me the bat. I'll show you what I'm looking. You see it now, and they're like, yeah. And then they do it, and it's like, all right. So it's like I'm so my track record is it works so much, and of course that's what I am too. Show me, and I see it, and I can do it right away. Just about anything in life.
A visual learner.
Yeah, let me just see it, and I can do. Is confidence I have in myself, and I've convinced myself that. So obviously I project that on other people. Like if you see it, you can do it. Yeah. So let me show you. And then I see great successful coaches that just. How do you have a winning team and you don't? I don't know. So yeah, any advice, tips, please let me know.
So clearly, obviously getting older and like with my situation, I'm an overhand thrower, right? And that was always taught to us as an unnatural motion, right? To whereas softball, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like pitchers can pitch on back-to-back days. They can throw more frequently.
Yes.
Because you're walking, right? It's a natural motion for your arms to move. I'm calling that a lie now also. Because my bowling motion, my arm is moving this way. There is no reason whatsoever for that to take place.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to, I pride myself on being a 3-day healer. If I get sick, after day 3, it's gone. If I get hurt, usually, right? This did not go back in 3 days. Anytime I get sores, I give it 3 days. It'll be fine.
Alexa, play NXS, Devil Inside.
Ooh, Devil Inside. The Devil Inside.
It's got some good throwbacks today, man. I've had a lot of 80s roll up in here.
Well, there's
nice.
You should check this out. There's a
takes us back to our childhood. All of these freaking licking our wounds right here. It's like, we feel young again.
There's a
thank you. Wheel.
There's
White Oak Productions.
There's a Twitter follow, and it's about the 70s, and it talks about a lot of the stuff. And I've shared a couple of them, right? Like, do you remember this toy? Do you remember this game?
Yeah.
Like, it has been like. It's about the 70s, but I'm like, that happened in the 80s too. And so it's a good follow. The algorithm has kind of got me.
Right? Where's that at?
It's on Twitter.
Okay.
But I can't think of the exact name of it right now. And so, thanks, Mike. Yeah, no, it's just, I am swollen.
Like these things swollen. Hilarious.
That or just, like I said, I've plateaued. Maybe I'm just getting heavier too. So anyway, talking about traditions. This week is a big week for traditions, being that it's St. Patrick's Day on the 17th. I think that's Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday. Do you have any type of St. Patrick's Day traditions?
Pinch people.
Nothing. No?
Nothing. I have nothing that's connected to it, affiliated to it. It's nothing. I'll try to wear green.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to where it's like, hey, growing up we did this. We ate this food. We went to such and such place.
What is the story of St. Patrick's Day?
So I don't know the entire story, but St. Patrick basically chased the snakes, the serpents, away, right? And so he's the patron saint of Ireland.
Okay.
And that's why maybe I should brush up on my St. Patrick's Day history, because that was actually a question that was asked during trivia Saturday night when we were out to eat while the guy was playing bagpipes. What was St. Patrick known for? Chasing. What animal? Chasing snakes.
Okay.
Right? So that's the mythology of it, right? Or the history.
From our history buff here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not just a hat rack up here.
More than just a pretty face.
Yeah, that's right. So, as I've gotten older and, can kind of do in a little bit more freedom, like St. Patrick's Day, like I do like hitting up a couple of the Irish pubs or the Irish bars around here that have this big St. Patrick's Day parties that I don't do it to excess, but
green,
like
green pasta at Skyline, green
Yeah.
beer.
yeah, like I like that. Like if I've done that here where it's like, hey, take some food coloring, put a little green in it, green beer, right? Red's opening day, a little red food coloring, red beer.
I like it. I like it.
So, but yeah, we talked about our family history and whatever, so there's some Irish in me,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, I'm going to celebrate it. On top of that, last week we had the debut of the new season of Last Kingdom, which is based out of Scotland, Ireland, that general region.
Northern,
Northumbria.
Yes.
Right? And so, did you watch?
Oh, 100%.
And how long did it take for you to get completely
I
done?
finished it the next day.
So that's what I did.
So yeah, I went through pretty quickly.
Was there a build-up for you? So I was watching a show before called Medici,
Okay.
and I didn't want to start I wanted to start Last Kingdom,
All right.
but I'm a finisher, right? So like I'm watching. I've got a couple episodes left of Medici, and Medici is about the Medici family in Florence, Italy, kind of during the medieval times. They commissioned the works for Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. Like there's characters in that. Like he meets with Leonardo da Vinci. It's like I never really realized how much I like those kind of like somewhat historic, based on something type shows, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm 100% with you.
And so I was like, I'm getting super pumped up for Last Kingdom, but I'm like, I gotta finish this. And so much so that the last few episodes of Medici kind of lost their luster because I was really just trying to blow through it. Like, just give me the cliff notes of what's happened because I am getting super psyched up for Uhtred, son of Uhtred of Bebbanburg, right?
Yes.
So we used to have a portion of this show, and it is so. I'm going to cut myself off here. It's 12:02, and what today is the NFL's early tampering period, where teams are allowed to negotiate with free agents, and that started 2 minutes ago. So right now I've got NFL Network on, and they have a show this is how big this is how big the NFL is, that the show is on for 4 hours, and it's called Free Agent Frenzy. So they are expecting a lot of stuff, and right now we're just seeing a few names have come up where people are re-signing or extending their own. If we see anything that comes,
Devontae Adams informs Packers he will not play under the franchise tag.
yeah, so that'll be an interesting thing. So as those kind of pop up,
a local guy that doesn't want that tag either.
correct. But I think he's already got the tag. I'm hoping hoping it doesn't take that long. But either way, I digress. If we get anything that kind of comes across and I stop for any reason, that's why. So I apologize for that. So I'm back to Uhtred, son of Uhtred from Bebbanburg.
Yes.
Right. So I'm super stoked, and we won't give any cheaters away.
Uhtred is a real person.
Correct.
Real life,
Which you
real
told me before the
Uhtred
show.
Bold, and Bebbanburg is now Bamberg in Northumbria, and it is a real place. It is a real castle. It is all, like any true story, it is based on real events. So all of these things are, historically, if you line them up, there is some tweakings for audience pleasure, right, for TV purposes. But the eyewitness testimony of all of this is based off of real events,
which is amazing. And to me, I didn't know that, and so when you told me that today, it almost made the show better.
Uhtred the Bold, yeah.
To me, it's like, oh, there is some significance to this, because you hear history books, you hear kings' names and the names, and I kind of assume like, hey, this name kind of makes sense because it goes with the time, right? Yep. So like you hear the name Constantine or Alfred or whatever it is, And so, yeah, that's interesting to me. So I was really, really excited about it. And we used to have, and we haven't done it so much, we still talk about the shows. We used to have a segment on here that was show of the week,
yeah.
right? Where we were pretty much knocking out or close to knocking out shows like every week, like because we both work from home and it's easy for us to do what we do and have a show on in the background or watch it. And so Last Kingdom came up, and I remember how I found it was basically I like those historical medieval times all the way up to 1800s 1900s, like those types of shows that they just fascinate me with any type of basis to them, right? And so I didn't have a show, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to check this out, and I'm a finisher, so I just kind of hung on, and then next thing you know, I'm out and about, and I'm talking like Utrecht, like almost like in a pig Latin type,
right?
Like, hi, I'm Tom, son of Tom from Stony Ridge, of Stony Ridge. Like, it's like,
right.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go have some ale or some mead, I'm down. Like it's, like it just became, it consumed me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I loved it. And then I remember, and I thought I was alone in the world.
Yeah.
And I remember going to you, like,
so did I.
Like, have you ever seen, I remember the recommendation, I was like, you ever seen the show Last Kingdom?
We both lit up like, yes.
Yeah. And it's amazing that I've had that same conversation like that with other friends. Watkins, for example, was the same way. And other buddies, same way. Like, it was like, other people actually watch this show? I don't feel so bad.
So today, Man Crush Monday, I guess we could say Utrecht is our Man Crush for today, and because we've got friends that we introduced it to them and they like it, and I was so excited when it.
We got a lot of feedback too when we shared that it was coming back.
Yeah, a lot of people love it.
And there were some people that we know that I'm like, just same response, like they watched it.
Yeah, good family friend. She was like, I think I watch it for a different reason than you.
Yeah.
Whatever the motive is.
But what if
Man Crush Monday?
What if I grew my hair out?
In high school, remember when everybody had the cut, whether it was shaved and then pulled in a ponytail? Let's bring it back.
Now we know why. It was all for history.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I finished it quick, man.
So did I. I was about the same timeline.
I love it for so many reasons, man. One, what got me into it is Jessica and I watched Vikings on History Channel, and we loved it with Ragnar, and she Googled it and found out he was a real person, and so again, loosely based off of true events, some of the time periods they meshed together, but all of the characters are real historical figures. They've all done what the shows have depicted them to do. I follow a guy on YouTube who is Scandinavian, and he does the history of it, and he kind of talks about the characters. Again, I just got really obsessed with the Viking culture in the Dark Ages, and again, just those, weird, strange obsessions. It caught interest, and so we watched Vikings, and then I saw Last Kingdom come out, and it's like, I'll give it a shot. And it started off like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes in, I'm like, where's this going? I didn't know if I was going to get into it.
Yeah.
And then it's just, the writing of it, which in my opinion, I think it's the greatest writing, because so many times Utrecht he's put in situations in life to where he has to choose what he said he was going to do versus, the right thing. So he's committed to King Alfred. But family comes in and says, hey, this is the right thing to do. And it's like, I know it is, but I'm a man of my word. So it's like conflict. And I think we all as people just struggle with conflict throughout life. Sometimes it's on a grand scale, sometimes it's just a small scale, but it's constant conflict. And that show writes it in so many times to where it's like, we just look at it like, man, there's no way I'm doing that. There's no way. But he chooses what we would no way choose, and the writers again bring it out to where it ends up working out in the end. And it's like, in that life, like we make tough decisions constantly in life, and we go against the grain sometimes, and it's like, it worked out anyway. And I think the show does a great job with him in the situation with Brita.
Well, the whole,
like, Jessica was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, that's a great lesson on forgiveness. Whether you would do it or not, that is a great written conflict in here that we all must, like, wrestle with. To go on that level of thought and process the show.
like forgiveness is it's almost a theme of the show
100%.
because you look at early on and
His daughter at the end season 4, like, Dad, I want to go on my own.
Yeah.
Like, that is a parenting struggle.
right.
Like, who am I to say no when I look at my body of work?
It's not exactly like just sending your daughter off to college, right?
Right.
Like people don't like you.
Yes.
Like,
I'm sending you off with a Viking.
yeah. And this is what you're
A
no.
Dane.
Yes, and so, but what's funny about that is the transition of many, if not all, of the characters kind of throughout the entire story. Because I remember early on thinking, like, I hate King Alfred. Like, he is just, like, he's one of my most hated villains of any show. And then there's a time where it kind of comes full circle, where it's like, okay, I understand.
To appreciate his standard.
And then it was like, nope, now I hate him again. And his
lighten up a little, dude.
His wife was even worse. I'm like,
oh, I hated her for a while.
and I'm like, I get this way with shows that I watch, especially when there's a female villain. And I'm a big bracket person, right? I'm a big contest vote person. I'm like, I wonder if we did a contest of the worst female villain of all time, who would that be? And there's a lot. Like, and some of them I don't even think, like, I've had this.
Cruella de Vil.
Right. There was one, like, I watched the show 24.
Yeah.
And there was a Middle Eastern woman. She was married, and like her husband eventually, I want to say, gets caught and died, and you kind of thought the story was going to end, and then you find out that she was really the one behind everything, and it's like, she is pure evil. Like, if there was an animal, if there was a spirit animal for her, it would be a Black Widow. Like, the biggest, scariest spider of all time.
Which that jumps me into our great supporters of Tulby Suggs Group. And how many times we've had a transaction where we're having a great discussion with our spouse, and it gets to trying to resolve the situation and get to it, and you create warmness, not in a pleasant way, of just kind of frustration of trying to accomplish what we try to do in this business, and what they're out to get as a house. And you get a little frustrated with that individual to be standing in the living room, and then you find out it was the other spouse the whole time. Husband, that's not possible. And he's sticking so firm to his guns, and you start to get discouraged with him. And then it's like, well, honey, this is what you wanted anyway. I was just trying to fight for you, and you're like, so you're the villain.
It's you.
It was the wife that was the one that was.
But that was how I felt. Like, I felt that.
You guys.
I felt the same way about Alfred's wife.
Yeah.
And then that kind of came full circle as you kind of understood her, and then it's like Brita.
That's a good point.
And it was like Brita was like, I can't hate her. I could never.
I'm with you, dude.
Like, she was the enemy, but it was like you always knew as the enemy. Like, there was like he couldn't. There was that stronghold. Like, he could never do it, even though he said like he was gonna kill her. Right?
Yeah.
He could never do it, and then she's gonna kill him.
And
but
the writing put a scenario into what she did to his son, to where you're just like, that's unforgivable.
yeah,
And the son says, forgive her.
right.
And it's like,
That blew me away too. It's like you see it, and it's like, whoa, what? Whoa, like that's evil. But I couldn't hate her.
Nope.
And then even like,
Broke my heart when. I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to.
no, I know, right? I just got to be careful. Either way, it's a phenomenal, at least from what they're saying last season.
Watch that show with the lenses of what would you do.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective, right?
Yeah.
Perspective. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it. It's over, so I'm gonna try. My next show, I guess, is gonna be Vikings, because I've been meaning to check it out. So I'm gonna check that out. But man, we're getting to the meat and potatoes now, right? So we've got some sports to talk about. First one, baseball's back.
Baseball is back.
Baseball is back.
I express my frustration, as I do every year, that the Reds are MLB's first team we should host. And I'm not a Reds fan. I'm a Cubs fan. Cincinnati should host opening day alone every year.
Every year.
Just going back to tradition.
Yeah.
Like it was a tradition for a while, and then I think the '94 strike ended that, and then they got off, and then opening day starts in other countries now, and opening day is it's a big spectacle for the sport, but they've gotten away from traditions, and for the second time in the history of the Cincinnati Reds, they're opening the season on the road, and to me it's just discouraging. Not being biased towards Cincinnati, but just some traditions. Like old school versus new school. You got the young people that, who cares? Start your own traditions, rewrite your history, do all that stuff. But there's still some things that should just be like, you know what? That's your tradition. What does it matter if it stays or goes? And once that conversation comes into the equation, then leave it alone.
So you talking about traditions. Let's dig a little bit deeper into traditions when it comes to the actual game itself, because there are some changes that are made by this new agreement going forward that changes a lot of the traditions of the game, and I don't know how I feel about either of them. Well, I know how I feel on one, and there's more than this, but I wrote one down last week as we were kind of talking. The first one is the universal DH. So the National League now has adopted the DH, which I understand it's not a rule change per se, but it is there for them to use it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me one bit. I think there is something to be said about the traditions of, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, even before that of, you're a baseball player, take the bat
and go hit.
Yeah. And there's not a whole lot more entertaining if you love the sport than watching either, I'm a big give me an A or give me an F guy, right?
Yeah.
And watching how bad a pitcher looks at the plate. Or
one of the greatest pitchers ever, Greg Manic. That dude could swing a bat.
Right.
He could wield a bat.
Or the other scenario of that, where it was like, you got the pitcher coming up, and it's like, hey, this pitcher's hitting 200. It's like, 200? Well, yeah, 200. That's good for a pitcher. So this guy gets to hit. When I like the pinch hit for the pitcher and like that, I like that tradition of the maneuverability of the lineup and that strategy that it takes in the National League. But I think overall for the game itself, this is something that was bound to happen. It looks like the Dolphins have signed running back Chase Edmonds for 2 years. So that's kind of the first, I guess, domino to fall, rumor-wise. The other one, and I want your take on this, over the years, due to sabermetrics and strategy and analytics and people using data, and I remember it going back to when Griffey came to the Reds, they began the shift era.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the hitter was never going to change. He's going to pull the ball.
Yeah.
And we're going to let him pull the ball, and we're going to put our second baseman out in right field. Our shortstop's going to be where second is. Our third baseman's going to be behind the second base bag, and we're going to leave the left side of the infield entirely open. In the meantime, our outfield is going to shift over as well. They've outlawed that.
Yeah. Couple moving parts, and I'll keep them brief. So Major League Baseball, they got two great struggles, right? And it goes back to the last kingdom, how you're going to write in conflict. So they want the game to move faster. They want higher scoring games. Higher scoring games go slower than low scoring games.
Right.
So that they don't mesh. It just doesn't belong. So if you want a game to move faster, allow the defense to put themselves in position to make outs. Now we got the defense spread, and you've got these Mark McGuires who just absolutely murder the ball when they pull it. If you want the game to speed up, let the defense speed the game up. Do not open up the defense to where these guys that just they're one-dimensional hitters, and they pull the ball. Now, I don't have anything with the philosophy of hitting. If you're a pull hitter, pull hit everything down the line. But why are you, MLB, taking away from me a strategy to speed the game up and put the best defense that I can for this scenario? It's, I don't like it at all.
I don't like it either. A little bit different take from my perspective.
And if you want to get on base, bunt.
Well, so
learn to go opposite field.
That's
right?
where I was going to go with this.
Drive the ball opposite field.
The biggest stat for us growing up, other than home runs, right? You had 3 stats. You had batting average, you had home runs, and RBIs.
I don't think I know this song. Alexa, play Beyonce, Baby Boy. Sure, once it goes, I'll know it.
So, you had those 3 stats.
Yeah.
From a player's perspective, those were, sure you had doubles and that type of stuff, but like the determining factors from a specific perspective were those 3, right? And analytics, the sabermetrics, those are still important, but they use on-base percentage or slugging percentage now to tell more, or WAR, right? The WAR, but
what is OBP?
On-base percentage.
No. Go on. No. Keep going.
You talking about
else.
On-base percentage plus slugging percentage?
Yeah. OBS.
Yes, OBS.
Yes.
And so, which is a good stat, and I think that's going to back up my theory on why I hate this idea of taking the shift away. Like any other sport, you can play whatever defense you want. It's up to the offense to try to figure out a way to make it work. Right? Football, play any defense you want. You can put all 11 guys on the line if you want to.
Correct.
You can drop all 11 into coverage if you want to.
A basketball, I can put a defender in the lane. I can't leave an offensive player in the lane, but there's so many things that you can defend.
So you would
taking defense away from everything, which
correct. And so, if these stats are so big, instead of catering to I don't mean this in terms of talent. You're going to take a hitter that is one-dimensional, and now you're going to make him great because he couldn't adjust to the game when the game was the way it was.
Yes.
So
another asterisk should be coming, because if you're comparing today's OPS,
you're gonna have several people back.
Your slugging percentage and your slugging percentage, you can't compare this hitter to a hitter last year.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna smash because I've got 3 less defenders on that side of the field.
And it used to be, I remember, you had your home runs where it was like people were trying to hit Maris, right? You're trying to get 61 in a year, and then Bonds blows it out of the water. Then you had like Tony Gwynn was trying to hit 400. This rule right here with these hitters today, you're going to have, and I wouldn't surprise me if it's this year, you're going to have several people hit over 400. Because I've watched enough.
Yes.
I've watched enough of this in our heyday. That was a base hit, and the second baseman snaps him off in short right field. Mm-hmm. Or a ball that's up the middle. Now all of a sudden the third baseman's standing right where the ball, which I'm all for it. Find a way to adjust to beat it.
Yeah.
It bugs me. That bugs me a lot, and I'm curious on how they're going to police that. Are you going to get cartoony, where it's like you're going to put lines in the field, have little X's where this guy's going to have to play? Get better. Get better. Baseball does everything it can to get in its own way.
Going back to us as kids playing in the basement or playing outside, and we invented games a lot of times as we did these things out of boredom, and we would make up rules as we would go along, and certain rules agreed upon by the committee of making up the game as you play. Certain things are like, that's just not fair, and that's where all these rules come in. And in this case, it's like they're playing backyard ball, and their players committee is saying, well, it's just not fair to us.
Right.
What do you mean? What's not fair about that? Collectively, let's come together and say, and I don't know who agreed upon that. Obviously, the owners and the players agree that, hey, we got to get rid of this this thing that's going to make me a better all-around hitter, but I'm going to look like a better hitter because I am going to hit 400 this year because I'm going to have 3 less defenders on that side of the field. I don't know. I hate the rule.
Baseball does everything it can to get in people's way. It absolutely does, and the lockout, the TV deals, the big market teams, the inability to, unless you have a certain subscription or cable provider to be able to watch certain games, it's like, man, like you look at a thing like the NFL.
I was just thinking that it's funny that you went straight there because the whole time we're talking about this, I'm thinking about hand contact from defensive backs and receivers, and you look at some of the stats that Dan Marino put up in '84 when you can actually maul a receiver. Now it's like if you look at a receiver, it's a pass interference, and the call is so subjective. But NFL, all these passing records are just being destroyed, and it's we're not allowed to touch receivers anymore. So I think we're going to see something similar go into baseball, and I don't know for the again it goes back to old school, new school, traditional values of each individual, but it's how good are receivers today versus receivers back in the day. You can't compare them because
you could do the same thing with basketball.
Yep.
You hear all the time about the NBA, and when you had the big bad Pistons and they were roughing people up, and I get like the change, like
safety reasons.
The changing of an era, the changing of the way philosophies work. Like you've seen that in baseball with the sabermetrics and the analytics and all that stuff. But this is fundamentally changing the game. Yep. And that's where I have a problem with it.
I agree with that, 100%.
I like replay because I believe in getting things right.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, like I also like the human element there as well, because it doesn't fundamentally change the game, and I feel like this rule fundamentally changes the game. I don't like it. I'm not for it. Baseball needs to be better. You look at a thing like the NFL, to where they have put fans in that experience above everything else. The game, for the most part, other than judgment calls, right, has stayed the same. The philosophy of the game, the rules of the game, have, for the most part, big picture, stayed the same. Like it's not like all of a sudden, hey, it'd be like football. All of a sudden, this team is up by 10. You know what? You get a 12th defender. Bring that guy in here.
Yeah. Or when football used to just be running before the forward pass was invented, now they start to forward pass, and you come up with a defense to stop that, and the rules committee says, hold on, you're not allowed to have a defender pass 5 yards down the field.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second, they're allowed to run routes, but I can't have a defender pass 5 yards? Correct.
Right. Hey, we're going to go to two-hand touch.
Right. So hold on. So he's only going to pull the ball so I can put players over there? And I'm running the risk of loading that side of the field with him hitting the other way?
Yeah.
I'm running a risk on defense.
He could beat it.
Yeah, beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would only take a couple of times before he beat it, but before he would beat that shift, right?
1988 rock songs. And in case you guys, new watchers, new listeners, I stop and spin the wheel. So we've got a year, we've got a genre, and we've got a ranking. And it's thanks to our supporter, Tommy Watkins from White Oak Productions. We like to add music to our day. So the first spin, it finds a year, found 1988, off the spin. The next is a genre, so I got rock from 1988, and it's the #1 song. And we have, Alexa, will you play Robert Palmer, Simply Irresistible?
Ooh.
So that is why you keep seeing me spin this. Some of you guys I know, but that is what this wheel is.
That's a good lead in too to where I was going next, because I remember listening to Q102.
Alexa, play Robert Palmer, Simply Irresistible.
Here's Simply Irresistible by Robert Palmer on Amazon Music.
And sometimes when I talk too much, she just gets confused. There it is, I hear it.
Yeah, it's getting louder. So back in 1988
Yeah.
was the Super Bowl year,
Ooh.
right? And I was listening to Q102,
Synchronicity.
and they took there were several songs that were pop hits that they took and they put in words, and this was one of them. Like
Yeah.
the Bengals are simply irresistible. Yeah.
I remember that.
So it's playing. So anyway, that kind of leads into, kind of our next
Hate
sports
rule.
stuff.
I think we can agree upon hated
Yeah.
the shift rule being banned.
And so contract, yeah, you're seeing a lot of contract extensions and stuff kind of coming through right now. Still nothing that I've seen on TV about the Bengals yet, but we'll bring that to you. But free agency starts today. It's the tampering period. You're allowed to negotiate contracts, and then those typically get done. They get leaked out through social media, through the news, and then they're officially allowed to announce them on Wednesday. That starts today. Last night, we had a huge development when it comes to the NFL. We had 2022 version of Brett Favre basically tease, retire, tease unretiring. I'm retired. I'm not retired. Maybe I'm retired. Maybe I'm not. Tom Brady's back.
Tom Brady is back. You know who this reminded me of? One of my favorite players, Ryan Sandberg.
To a lesser extent, yes.
He retired, came back, retired, came back. You know, it's one of the same caliber.
So of all the Chicago people that you think of that retired, unretired, retired, unretired, Sandberg is the one you come up with.
That is the one.
So we're talking about the greatest quarterback of all time.
And the greatest second baseman of all time.
I would argue that Joe Morgan is the greatest second baseman of all time. Sandberg was a good player. Was a great player. But if I was going to make a comparison, my comparison would be Tom Brady. You can use football. Brett Favre, he did the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you're going
Who's
to...
the other guy in Chicago that might come to mind?
Was it Pippen?
Rodman.
Ron Harper?
Yes. Horace Grant, something. I don't know.
Are we even allowed to say it? Remember, like
Steve Kerr?
the video game? Like, I remember NBA Live had a video game, and like they couldn't even use the number 23.
Right.
Like, but they had a 6'6" bald guy out of North Carolina, number 24, and he was the best player
Yeah.
in the game. So yeah, so that's who I was going with. That number 24 or number 45, depending on which retirement it was. So yeah, Brady's back, and what's funny about that, if you follow the Bengals and kind of, I've been
Browns to acquire Amari Cooper.
that was a couple of days ago.
Yep. Okay.
So that's taking place. But if you follow the Bengals news and rumors, they were linked to a center, Ryan Jensen from the Buccaneers.
Uh-huh.
The thought that was with Brady retiring. So like you have this, they talked kind of about the Joe Burrow effect. You had Gronk come out and say he'd like to play with Burrow.
Yeah.
And, you have an actual Brady effect. Like you're gonna see, so the Bengals were linked to this Ryan Jensen guy. Last night, after the Brady news hit, Ryan Jensen re-ups with the Buccaneers, so cross him off of the Bengals list. There's a good chance if Gronkowski's going to play,
It'll be for Tom,
it's going to be,
not Joey B.
yeah.
Yep.
So, which I have differing opinions on that anyway. I lived through the Ocho Cinco and Tio show, where it kind of too much, right? So I'm kind of okay
Yeah.
without it. But that takes place today. So, like, if you're a fan like me, like, I am literally just scrolling through Twitter and just, did they do anything yet? Did they do anything yet? Like, so today, like, I'm super hype for them, like, to make this big splash. And I'm going to be honest, it's 12:33 and I haven't seen their name yet. I'm not real happy about
I'm
it.
looking at the Steelers, $27.1 million cap space. So I hope this doesn't age too well, thinking of Tom Brady and the Browns getting Amari Cooper and everything going on in the basketball world with rumorville of LeBron going back to Cleveland, kind of talking about, is that happening again? Have the Browns and Tampa been working a deal in the background to where it would land Tom Brady in Cleveland? And then LeBron James goes to Cleveland, and Cleveland is the center of the sport. Tom's about to come across his.
I am a huge. There we go. Bengals. Alex Kappa, guard. 4 years, $40 million. Bang! Ask and we shall receive. We got an offensive lineman. So Alex Kappa. I don't have a lot of information on Alex Kappa, but it's a 4-year, $40 million deal. Was he the guy? Was he a guard from the Buccaneers?
He's wearing Buccaneers uniform, yeah.
There we go. Bang biscuit right there, baby. Yeah, now see, this is what I was talking about. Make that big splash. So anyway, going back to Ryan Jensen, we were talking about him before, the center. He re-signed. So I read this morning that Kappa, I didn't know he was a free agent. I thought
65.
I thought he was I thought he was going to have to get released.
Right.
But apparently he was a free agent that they didn't re-sign, mainly because Brady was back, Jensen's re-signing, getting the money, and on top of whatever other things, they get their guard. And this guy, all indications are this guy's a real player too. So
4-year, $40 million deal.
Bravo, and Houday. Now if we can just get some more and bring my guy Jesse Bates back, well, it'll be awesome. So anyway, so that's starting.
Yes.
Speaking of starting, last night was Selection Sunday.
Yes.
We love brackets around here.
We do love brackets.
So we are going to give you the Tom and Q projections for the 2022 men's NCAA tournament bracket. And if there's any further breaking news or signings, we'll break in, and I'll let you know that as well. So the rules of this game are simple. We have the brackets, and we will go as far. I don't think we need to go into the actual play-in games per se.
Yeah.
You know what? We will.
Okay.
More bang for their buck, right?
Okay.
Or their penny. So
yeah. So this penny is the tiebreaker because we're going to get to games. In an example, maybe Boise State, Memphis, very well balanced. If I go Memphis, he goes Boise State.
we'll flip the coin.
We'll flip the coin. Whatever the coin says, it is. Heads will be
The heads is the top number, top number. Tails will be the bottom number.
yes.
And
So in that case, Boise State 8 seed, Memphis 9 seed. If it lands on heads, Boise State. We agree that the coin will determine the advancer.
And this is probably the best way. Oh, look at 65, just mauled dudes going in. Look at him. He's just a road grader, glass eater. I can't wait. Anyway, so I'm going to read them.
Okay.
This is a great time for our process to do this because I don't have any emotional ties to it.
Zero.
And I've hardly watched any college basketball other than...
I watched Little UMass. And
So-
I'm done there. And
Yeah, so here we are.
whatever.
We're going to just go with our gut. Tom and Q's gut
Rock
projection.
chalk, which Kansas is the number 1 seed.
So considering that's only happened one time, am I safe to say that I'm going to put the 1 seeds across at least the first round?
Yes.
Okay.
So Gonzaga over Georgia State.
So the
Georgia State is an athletic team. We will see.
So the Zags. All right, so we got Boise State and Memphis. 8 versus 9.
I like Memphis.
I like Memphis.
Okay. Well, look at that. We agreed. No coining.
UConn versus North Mexico State. And this is
North Mexico State? New Mexico State?
New Mexico State.
Need my
I've
readers?
got all this stuff going on here. It's too much. It's way too much. So UConn, blue blood, right?
Yeah.
But this is another thing when you get to
Oh, there's always a 5 beating a 12.
Yes.
Is this the 5-12?
and it's like you got those. There's gonna be in that.
There will be a 12 beat a 5 this year.
It
happens every year.
Well, you're gonna have upsets across this board and where they fall and when they happen. But like, yeah, I mean, if you look at the statistics and the numbers and stuff, like this is the one that, like,
Unbelievable. Every year.
yeah, the big upsets happen in this 12-5. And every year I look at these brackets and I go, oh, it won't be that one. It's every year, you know. So,
Yeah.
so we have UConn versus New Mexico State.
I'm going to say it's not this one.
Not this one. So you're going UConn. I'm going to go with UConn also.
Arkansas, Vermont. I don't know much about Vermont. I know the SEC had a pretty good year in college basketball. They're usually not too deep in college basketball. It is a very heavy football, baseball conference. But they were competitive in basketball this year. So with that, I think Arkansas's battle tested, and I'll go
The Razorbacks. Yeah, I watched the Razorbacks. Cincinnati UC played the Razorbacks early in the year, and they look really good against a Bearcat team that at that point in time, that early in the season, also looked very good. So I'm going to go.
So next we got Alabama, which would be playing a play-in against a play-in.
So
game.
let's go to that play-in game.
Notre Dame.
Yeah. So who do you like, Rutgers or Notre Dame?
Man, those are two.
You got Rutgers coming out of the Big Ten.
Rutgers earlier in the year.
Okay.
And UMass is not good at basketball.
Yeah.
So I can't get that out of my head, and I don't know much about Notre Dame.
I'm
probably going with Notre Dame.
So Mike Bray has been Notre Dame's coach for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They consistently make the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's sketchy on which way they go on a year-to-year basis.
Yeah.
To where sometimes if they are ranked high, usually that's not good for them. But they come in a little bit as a dog.
Little fight in them.
Little chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going Notre Dame.
I like that.
Okay.
I like Notre Dame.
So we got Notre Dame, Alabama.
After everything I just said about the SEC, it's tough for me to go against. I don't know.
Do you want me to go first?
I think I'm go.
I trust Alabama football. I do not trust Alabama basketball against Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame to get that win. There we go. The Irish. All right, number 3, Texas Tech versus Montana State.
We gotta go.
Why not?
Right? Yeah.
That might be as far as they go, but so Texas Tech, Montana State,
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
Sorry, we don't have much about the Texas Tech, and a lot of this bracket's gonna move that.
This is an interesting game here.
My favorite take I've seen in a long time, and it ranks in my probably top 3, is Izzo shaking air.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Izzo.
But they are another team.
The lower they're rated, the better off they do. When they're ranked high, they get upset.
Like, that's a team right there, Michigan State. They could get hot and beat anybody in the tournament.
Yep.
On the flip side,
Davidson's tough, man.
Davidson's good. They're good. They're perennial sweetheart, right?
And that's a 10-7. That's another kind of stigmatized
it is.
spot.
It is.
12-5 and 10-7 are.
But I'm going to go a step further. If you look at the next game, Duke versus Cal State Fullerton, and Duke wins that game, and Coach K, this is his last year, you get a Tom Izzo, Coach K rematch. I'm going Michigan State because I want to see it.
Yeah.
And so that assumes we're going Duke, right?
Duke.
No,
yep.
215. That's happened. I don't think it happens to Coach K on his swan song.
You think Coach K brings a little something as a number 2 seed?
So we're going to continue in this West region, okay, until we get to our Final Four team.
Okay. I like it.
So we have now in the second round, Gonzaga versus Memphis.
I think Gonzaga goes.
Here's the
more round. They're another team that they just can't do it, man.
There's one. So Gonzaga has this stigmatism of kind of like the small market team that's just always there.
Yep.
But they've been in the national championship game, I want to say 2 out of the last 3 years. Okay. Memphis is kind of the anti-Gonzaga. Memphis has a roster full of 5-star recruits. Their coach, Penny Hardaway, former All-Star in the NBA, All-American, has always struggled with the X's and O's. He can recruit like nobody. But the X's and O's. Well, now I've watched them.
Is Little Penny gonna?
That'd be awesome. Hey, Tyra! Hey, Tyra! You left your suitcase at my house! So,
YouTube Little Penny.
If
for those young listeners out there.
So don't pay. So for me, I'm not paying so much attention to the seeds because talent for talent, they're going to match up. Mm-hmm. And this is a very, very fascinating game to where it wouldn't surprise me if Memphis knocked them off. But I don't trust but they've been playing really good. To whereas maybe that light just kind of clicked for Penny.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, and he continues to recruit, that's going to be a team that's going to down in the future something to reckon with. So, but with that being said, man, Gonzaga just always shows up. They don't have off days. I'm going with the Zags.
The Zags, just better coached, better disciplined.
Yeah. UConn, Arkansas, Big East versus SEC.
UConn, like you said, blue blood, man. There's a lot of tradition there. And today is about tradition. Do we preserve it? What?
UConn's coach is also a Bengal fan, so I'm going to go.
UConn.
I'm going to go with UConn. All right, Notre Dame, Texas Tech. I feel like Texas Tech is a team that could be upset. They've been really good all year. But I go to, and you got Notre Dame, and I'm like, man, don't overthink it, right?
Right. I got Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. All right, here we go. Michigan State, Duke.
Woo!
Duke lost Coach K's last game in the rivalry with North Carolina.
Retire. Coach K.
Yeah, but Duke is Duke. They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns.
I think Izzo's left shaking air. I think
Duke goes off. All right.
Man, I'm struggling on that one though.
Gonzaga, UConn. Big East.
I got the Zags. Man, I got Gonzaga.
Okay, we're gonna keep. I'm with you. We have yet to flip the coin.
Right.
Texas Tech and Duke.
Duke. It's crazy that I'm more concerned with the previous game, Duke and Michigan State,
Then Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I've got this taste in my mouth for Duke after losing to North Carolina. But I'm also the conspiracy theorist that thinks Coach K is one of the greatest, if not the greatest basketball coach of all time. I'm going to ride with Duke. Go Devils. All right, Final Four, Zags versus Duke.
I'm Zags.
I'm going to ride with Duke.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll flip.
Heads will be the higher seed.
Heads is Gonzaga.
Tails is Duke.
Tails is Duke.
Oh, I went to the floor.
Check it.
Tails it is.
Tails it is. Duke is going to the Final Four. Write down Duke up there. Give us a little bracket.
Woo!
Catch the ball. There we go. Duke. All right, let's go out east. So we know Baylor as the 1 seed. North Carolina, Marquette.
That's so funny, man. So I'm on this ESPN app and I'm filling them out as we go.
Mm-hmm.
And since I set my phone down, the screen went. It erased all the pictures. But you got them.
I've got it written
so
down.
We're good.
So North Carolina, Marquette.
Were you in the East?
I'm in the East.
Is Dwayne Wade with Marquette anymore?
He is not. Marquette of the Big East. North Carolina coming off of the ending Coach K's regular season run.
Let's go North Carolina.
I'm going UNC. 5-12. Let's go to
We
the
got the playing game. Wyoming or IU.
Wyoming is getting a lot of run. I was watching. They're getting a lot of run.
Man. I like.
Ooh,
There's a connection there.
I just have
It's the year of the Bengals, man.
going up against the Big Ten though.
I like the Big Ten a
I-
lot. They are battle tested.
I think I do too.
I like IU.
IU it is.
And you know what? I think we found it, man.
You think this is the one?
I think this is IU will beat St. Mary. That's the 12 over the 5.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're gonna go the coin on this one.
Okay.
I think we're gonna go the coin because I St. Mary's is a 5 for a reason.
Yep.
And Indiana's a 12 for a reason. And I watched a little bit of St. Mary's. They've got a former Bearcat recruit who's a stud. So, heads it is.
As it is. So we are going St. Mary's.
St. Mary's.
So the coin has gone in your favor twice.
UCLA versus Akron.
So all the Akron nonsense that happened with Kent State.
Yeah.
Kent State, upset. It played them in the finals. Got their Snapchat video singing F Akron and caused a little feelings to get hurt. That 4 Kent State guys had to miss the first half of the game.
Mhm.
And one of those guys missed the entire game. But Akron, I mean, they slaughtered Kent State, and they look good, man. They're playing well. I know it's the MAC, but I like the MAC. UCLA.
Yeah, me too. I was just waiting.
I just wanted to share the story of. Has anybody heard what happened with Kent State?
Runner up last year? Yeah, UCLA. That's an interesting one. Texas, Virginia Tech.
Ooh, so Texas has a transfer from UMass. I can't even remember his name. Trey Ball Trey, they were calling him. I can't think of his last name. Good player. So there's a UMass connection there. I'm Texas, man.
I'm Virginia Tech. I think defense. We say defense wins
Wins championships. Heads it is.
Texas rolls.
Texas rolls.
Purdue, Yale. I'm all Purdue.
I'm all Purdue.
Murray State's hot versus San Francisco.
The Dons.
Yeah,
That's a cool name.
Murray State's really good.
Murray State. They are good. They are an athletic team. Kentucky, St. Peter's, Kentucky.
UK. All right,
A nice little in-state game. Murray State and Kentucky next round.
let's roll back to the top. Baylor, North Carolina. Baylor's been really good all year. I'm a big fan of teams that are consistent, and if you've been good all year, I have a hard time going against you. Anything can happen, but I'm going Baylor.
I like Baylor.
Now, Mick Cronin recruited that player from St. Mary's. They're now matching up against each other in the second round.
Ooh.
But I still like UCLA.
Yeah.
I think this is his. He could do some damage here. Texas, Purdue. I'm all Purdue.
I'm all Purdue.
In-state, Murray State versus UK.
I want to say Murray State.
I know.
So bad. It is not disliking to Kentucky. I just think they're athletic. Kentucky.
All right, let's roll with it. Baylor, UCLA.
All right.
This is an interesting game here.
I got Baylor.
I'm gonna agree. Purdue, UK.
I got Purdue, man.
I'm all Purdue.
All right.
I got a feeling about Purdue.
Yeah.
Baylor, Purdue.
Purdue.
That feeling ends for me.
Yeah. You going Baylor?
I'm going Baylor.
All right. Let's go to the coin.
Go to the coin.
And the coin has picked Baylor.
Baylor it is. All right. Out of the East, Baylor comes out of the East.
Cold down here.
All right, let's go south. Arizona moves on. Seton Hall, TCU. Seton Hall out of the Big East. TCU out of the Big 12. Both excellent basketball conferences. I'm Seton Hall.
I lost my Seton Hall. Yes.
Houston, UAB.
Ooh,
I've watched Houston play 3 times this year or more.
they're good.
They're a really, really good basketball team.
I'm going Houston.
The Cougs. Illinois, Chattanooga. I'm going Illinois.
Illinois.
That was a team that was in the top 5 earlier in the year. Illinois.
Somebody corrected me on that one time. Said there's no noise in Illinois.
Yeah,
Illinois.
I think if you're from Illinois, it's offensive.
Yeah, it's
But
just Illinois.
if you're a normal human that
There's
reads
an S on the end.
reads things the way it should be,
Phonetically.
yeah, it's Illinois.
Yeah.
So Illinois will take on Houston.
It's like Louisville, Louisville.
Yeah,
It's a Louisville.
Louisville's a weird thing to say. You got Louisville. Some people would say Louisville. Or Louisville.
Louisville.
Louisville. We're going to Louisville. We're going to Louisville. Yeah. I like Louisville.
So, Illinois.
Colorado State, Michigan.
Oh,
We talked about being big fans of the Big Ten.
I don't know much about Colorado State, but can we go to Rock Chalk? They're 6 for a reason, and they're 11 for a reason.
I'm going Michigan.
I don't know that I'm. That's good. Let's do it. Tennessee.
I'm going Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Tennessee, Tennessee, Tennessee,
The only
Tennessee.
10 I see.
Ohio State, Loyola, Chicago.
Ooh.
Sister, was it Sister Jane?
Yeah, and Loyola Chicago just joined the A10 next year, so that will be in the over there. Has nothing to do with this year. Just the thought, throw it out there.
I can't get behind Sister Jean. It's
No?
Jean, Sister Jean. I'm going.
I just can't get behind Ohio State. Just the streakiness.
It's a 7-10. We're well within our rights to go to the coin.
Yeah, let's go to the coin.
Go to the coin.
And I don't have a pick in it, but I'm not standing.
Yeah.
So I'm
Tails.
tails. Loyola.
Sister Jean.
I wonder if we should circle games that the coin has picked.
I thought about that. Star.
See how accurate that coin is.
We can do that. So we had Zags and Duke, right?
Yep.
I'm just going to start. What other ones do we have?
Baylor, Purdue. I think I had Purdue. You had Baylor.
Oh, we did St. Mary's versus Indiana.
Yep.
Is it just those three so far?
Loyola.
Okay. Villanova, Delaware. I think Villanova is another one of those teams like Baylor that they've been on top
Yep.
all year. Arizona, Seton Hall. I'm going Wildcats.
Yep.
This is a good game here. Houston, Illinois.
I like Houston.
I do too. That's a tough one. I can see that.
I like Michigan.
You like Michigan?
I do.
I like Tennessee. Let's go to the Quan. The Quan.
Heads.
Heads is for. We said it was going to be. Did we say the top or the top number?
I don't know. We never clarified.
I-
Because Michigan is on top.
I was thinking the top when we
Okay.
said it. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go with Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan. All right. Sister Jean in Villanova. I'm Nova all the way.
Yep.
Arizona, Houston.
Phi Slamma Jamma. They're not around anymore.
You're going Arizona. I'm going Houston.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Phi Slamma. Yeah, man. Yeah, let's do that, man.
Houston?
Let Houston be our
Sweetheart.
yeah.
Okay. Michigan versus Villanova. I'm
I
sticking.
don't know why I like Juwan Howard so much that it's like my thoughts are just clouded and it's impartial and it's biased. So I'm not coming from a clear state of mind, and I need to talk myself out of that. So I'm going Nova.
I'm going Nova. All right, here we go. Out of the South, Houston versus Villanova.
We gotta stay with Sweetheart, right?
I'm going Nova. I think we
Okay.
go to the coin.
Go
If
to the
you
coin.
like Houston,
Yeah,
I think this is where their run ends.
Uh-oh. Heads.
Heads it is. It's Houston. It's the Cougs. All right. One final bracket in the Midwest. I guess I can write down. Hand me that right there.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's go out to the Midwest. Midwest, 1 seed, Kansas. Then we have number 8, San Diego State versus Creighton.
This is not letting me reset back to the beginning of the bracket. There it is. Just got to be smarter than the phone. Figured it out. Kansas, Rock Chalk.
San Diego State, Creighton.
Ooh, I like Creighton.
I do too. Creighton always seems to
San Diego State's been pretty athletic too.
They are. Creighton's
Isn't
just,
it funny how athleticism really clouds your judgment?
it does.
Like, man, that's such a disciplined team, but that's such an athletic team.
Well, you've got Creighton who just they always seem to be there somewhere. They always seem
Yes.
to like be a story.
Yes, their name pops up.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Whether they don't always go far, but they always seem to be some type of story. Iowa versus the Richmond Spiders.
I'm going Richmond.
Richmond.
They beat their. I mean, they came out of the A10. They are. Well, I'm being biased again.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Iowa. Let's take the coin.
Okay.
But that is a 12-5.
That is a 12-5. That might be the other heads. Iowa it is. Providence. Dakota State.
Providence. They can score.
LSU, Iowa State. I mean, is that SEC battle tested, man? There's a lot of SECs in the tournament this year.
I like LSU.
Yeah.
They were another top team early in the year.
Wisconsin, LSU, yes. We agree.
Whiskey versus Colgate.
Let's go Wisconsin. USC, Miami.
I'm going Miami.
I think I like that too.
The Canes.
Yeah. Auburn, who was tough at the beginning of the year, number 2 seed.
They played defense.
Let's go Auburn.
All right, Kansas Creighton. This is a backyard brawl right here. I'm still going Kansas. The Creighton story ends.
So who you got?
Kansas versus Creighton. I'm going Kansas.
Yes.
Iowa, Providence.
Don't know enough to
This is go with your gut Monday.
go with your gut Monday. Providence.
My gut said Providence.
All right, look at that.
LSU versus Wisconsin.
See, I'm going to go biased on this, and I love my Big Ten, so I'm going to go Wisconsin.
I'm going LSU. Let's go to the coin.
Let's go to the coin.
They're talented. Oh, little side hustle there. That's tails. It looked like heads for a minute.
It was
That gives us whiskey.
Wisconsin.
All right. Canes, Auburn. I'm going Auburn. Kansas, Providence. Rock Chalk.
Rock Chalk.
Wisconsin, Auburn.
Auburn.
I'm with you. Kansas, Auburn.
Man.
So here's something to think about as we look at how this lays out. 2 seed, 1 seed, 5 seed. Rarely does it happen that 2 of the ones don't at least make it to the Final Four.
Right?
So that's why I kind of lead in this case to Kansas. Auburn's a number 2, so it's not that far off.
Right?
But I'm going Kansas.
Gonna Rock Chalk to go conspiracy, and Duke is going to have to get past another tradition-rich Kansas. What a sweet way for him to ride off into the sunset.
You like the tradition.
Yep.
All right, let's write it down.
Today's show is about tradition.
So, breaking NFL news. Steelers have got their quarterback,
Steelers signed Mitch
Trubisky, for 2 years.
2 years.
So at least it sounds like he's their guy unless something else happens.
I think Bengal fans like that news.
Woo! Win twice.
If Mitch is the guy to turn to bring the Steelers back to prominence, then I think Bengals like that news.
All right, here we go. That's our Final Four.
We got 2 Texas teams. Kansas from the heartland, and then Duke out on the East Coast all by themselves.
So, Duke, Baylor.
Baylor.
I'm with Baylor. So it ended your tradition. Houston, Kansas.
Kansas.
I agree. So here we have KU versus Baylor. Who do you got?
Baylor.
Hold on.
No.
Before we do that, the left side is heads. The right side is tails.
Very good. Very
It's
good.
not up and down anymore.
Yep.
But I'm with you. I'm going Baylor. We don't need it. The Baylor Bears. There's your projection.
Will be crowned your world champions.
Yeah, and I'm going to even put in, what do you think total points?
Oh, let's go 71 to 68. 71-65.
71-65 gets you, what, 136?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to put in there, I don't know if it'll be that high, but I like that number. So our total points for you tiebreakers at home is 136. So, there you have it. The Tom and Q projections for the 2022 men's NCAA tournament. National champion Baylor Bears beating the Kansas Rock Chalk Jayhawks. We'll see how this shakes out. Next week, we should be back at our regularly scheduled time at 2 o'clock.
Unless you guys like Mondays, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure out what's best. We'll see where it goes. So hopefully today's a busy day on the Bengals free agent market. They're 2 for 2 so far. One being they got their guard. The second, the Steelers got a quarterback. So
Trubisky, congratulations to the Bengals on that.
Perfect.
That move.
Perfect. Everything is going perfect so far. So with that being said, Alexa, play "Welcome to the Jungle."
Oh yeah.
Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses on Amazon Music.
Have a happy St. Patrick's Day. Be careful.
safe.
Be safe. Green beer, green noodles, green everything. Enjoy March Madness, even though there's not a whole lot of local flavor.
Rain.
Thursday, Friday, going to be a great day. If you're in school, kids, hopefully your teacher wheels out that big old cart.
Go to the AV room,
Yep,
roll in
wheels
the
that cart out and turns it on mute while she's teaching, and you're not paying a lick of attention because you've got brackets to win. Brackets.
Thank you, Ryan Weber and Local Legends. Thank you for your support, for what you endorse of just people that are local to your life, that make a difference. Thank you for the music from White Oak Productions and Tommy Watkins.
It's been a great day. We'll see you next week. Peace.
See ya.